If I had to describe Eleanor Roosevelt in 2 words, they would be, well, you could sit and say amazing, outstanding, that sort of stuff. But I would say compassion and betrayal.
Eleanor Roosevelt is a household name. You may know her as Franklin Roosevelt's wife or the former First Lady of the United States. Eleanor, however, was so much more. She was a mother of 6, a daughter, a friend, a storyteller, an activist, a fighter, and an inspiration to all.
Eleanor Roosevelt had a life that was pretty rough growing up. Her mother nicknamed her Granny because she thought she looked like a little old lady. And again, you don't have to be a child psychologist to realize that is not going to be good for a child's self-esteem. Your parents are supposed to instill in you a sense of confidence and the skills you need to go out there and take over the world. And in her mother certainly didn't do that, nor did her father. Her father was a neglected alcoholic. He was a person who was constantly being betrayed over the course of her life by people that she loved and that she trusted. And yet she was able to draw from that betrayal a real sense of compassion, a real understanding of pain and suffering.
It wasn't until Eleanor attended high school at Allenswood Academy in England that she found someone who saw her value and potential. Madame Silvestre, the founder and director of Allenswood, was the first person to see in her what the rest of the world would eventually see: a hardworking, intelligent, and influential woman. Upon finishing school and returning from London, Eleanor began dating Franklin D. Roosevelt. After a 2-year courtship, they were married in New York City on St. Patrick's Day, 1905. Franklin was elected president in 1932. Eleanor and Franklin, despite having an ultimately complex marriage, worked incredibly well together. As president and first lady, they jointly created a powerful political entity that was highly regarded worldwide. Part of the reason their foreign relations were so strong was because of the compassion Eleanor expressed towards other world leaders. She established close friendships with both Princess Elizabeth of England and Princess Juliana of the Netherlands, who both later became well-renowned queens for their nations. These letters and telegraphs between them truly showcase Eleanor's empathetic nature. While international communication is vital, Franklin also recognized the importance of connecting directly with the American people. Thus, Franklin started Fireside Chats, a series of radio addresses to reassure and inform the public. In support of this mission, Eleanor decided to start a column called My Day, which gave her a direct connection to the people using her own unique voice. My Day initially began as a feedback loop, observing public response to political ideas, but it evolved into something much bigger and something incredibly meaningful to Eleanor.
The process that we see in the archives is an evolution of documents, drafting with her personal secretary, Melvina Thompson, who is known as Tommy, either through dictation or typing herself. The first draft of the document would come out through the typewriter, and then Eleanor Roosevelt would by hand make the changes that she needed to edit and refine her statement. Usually the column was relatively short, maybe 2 pages as typed. And then Tommy would go and take the revised draft, either to retype it herself or have their assistants work on it as well. And then they would carry that over to be shared with the syndicate. So basically send it out to the world. And this was a daily thing.
She brought her typewriter with her everywhere, throughout all of her travels and events.
It was a constant and very important part of her working day, no matter what she was up to.
Eleanor dealt with issues far from the conventional duties of a first lady, which had previously just included hosting parties and standing near the president. Some of these issues included social and political events, as well as the harrowing hardships that hit the country during World War II.
One of the things that my grandmother is known for is her connection with other people and in her ability to listen to others and to share her life with other people. So it was a two-way street.
One of the most powerful features of My Day was that it allowed for people to see a version of themselves in her words. Eleanor began as a young girl with a traumatizing childhood, and her words reflected immense compassion and understanding.
I think the My Day columns really have a value in the sense that they are sort of dialogue with the American people, a daily dialogue as to what's going on, what's important, and how things are progressing. I think equally important is the fact that as Mrs. Roosevelt is writing about these things, she's really writing about these things not just from a policy standpoint or a current events standpoint, but she's writing about them from her own personal point of view, which is a very deep and very storied personal point of view. You know, she's had a lot of hardship in her life. She's had a lot of experiences in her life, and she's not afraid to share those with the readers, and she's not afraid to to let them understand that she understands their fears, their concerns, their worries, and also their aspirations and their hopes.
Franklin's private struggles with polio rapidly increased, and Eleanor had to take over the presidential role of traveling around the world. Whilst Franklin was struggling to walk 20 feet in their home in upstate New York, Eleanor was visiting various war sites, going extremely close to the front lines, instilling hope and boosting morale amongst soldiers. She visited numerous hospitals and offered tremendous support.
President Roosevelt, we sincerely regret to announce, died suddenly last night.
On Thursday, April 12, 1945, Franklin Roosevelt died. In the wake of Franklin's death, the entire country was in mourning, including Eleanor. It was a trying time for her, but regardless, she knew the impact and importance of her column and only missed 4 days of publishing. She recognized the platform she'd grown during her husband's presidency and was aware of her abilities. From then on, she became more determined and hungry for change. After a moment of silence, she returned to My Day with a powerful entry on Franklin's values, saying goodbye with the utmost respect. During Franklin's presidency, she was a figure of the federal government. Therefore, she had to ensure her writing aligned with Franklin's policies. No longer bound by the constraints of being First Lady, she was free to be independent and share anything and everything that she believed in. Her writing became more direct, specific, and political. Eleanor Roosevelt still wrote about everyday experiences, but her reflections had a deeper, sometimes more personal tone. She shared her thoughts on grief, adjusting to life without Franklin, and her desire to remain active in public service. As we know from her upbringing, she understood cruelty and pain, which made her so relatable to the public. She really knew what it was like to be excluded, to be abused, which made it possible for her to be so empathetic. She didn't think laws should be in place, she knew they should be. My Day wasn't just about sharing her ideas, but about things she felt in the fiber of her being.
It was really an opportunity for her to share what she felt and who she was and the things that were really important to her, and the things that she wanted to, the problems that she wanted to address in the lives of all people. First and foremost Americans, because that's who she was most in contact with, but also people around the world. She really was somebody that was looking out for the underdog and bringing their voice to the table and their concerns to the war front.
On December 31st, 1946, World War II officially ended. After the cruelties witnessed by the world during the Second World War, members of the United Nations came together and decided that it was time to create a document highlighting the essential human rights. In 1946, Eleanor Roosevelt was appointed as a delegate to the United Nations General Assembly. Her role as a UN delegate immensely impacted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and many of her values can be seen throughout. Once the Declaration was adopted, Eleanor never stopped advocating for change. She continued to write her column, encouraging citizens of America to speak up against injustice. Eleanor wrote her column for 27 years. Her last column was published September 26, 1962, less than 2 months before her death. Nothing would stop Eleanor from using her platform to promote change all around her, and she felt this way until the day she died.
Roosevelt has shown that it's possible to work and dedicate your life to making the world a better place. And I wish that more people would follow in those footsteps, and I'm ready for the next great inspiration and to follow.